Cherim Han asked Karen if she could really see them. Karen was shocked. How did Cherim know she couldn't see them? Would this expose her lie about coming from the future? Karen quickly said, "If I can't see them, how did I group them?" Cherim stopped her and said, "About those groups, there's a problem. Some might not have noticed, but others feel like something's wrong." Karen asked, "What do you mean?" Cherim said, "You don't fully understand yet, but I'm testing you right now." Karen thought that since she couldn't see Cherim yet, it meant Cherim wasn't fully opening up to her. Cherim added, "I already gave you a hint. Think about what happened yesterday." Karen was confused because she didn't know what happened yesterday. She had already restarted the story many times. Cherim said, "I don't know what you can and can't see, but if you keep trying to control us with just that, you'll have trouble." Karen asked, "Are you saying people don't trust me? Then why are you helping me by telling me this?" Cherim said, "It's because I don't dislike you that much. Even if we have the same goal, we might have different ways to achieve it. If that happens, we can share information. For now, I won't tell anyone about this. I don't want to cause panic. Isn't it nice that we're all working together? Though I'm not sure how long it'll last. Anyway, you did a good job earlier," and held out her hand to shake Karen's. Karen hesitated but shook her hand. The hallway was stained with blood. People were scattered on the floor. Karen said she couldn't leave everyone in the hallway, so she brought them back to the classroom. Inside, a group of students was comforting a teacher they found. Some students supported the teacher, even though they were supposed to save only their classmates. Most of the students who supported the teacher were still shadows, meaning they didn't trust Karen. She wanted to avoid the class splitting in two. Since the students didn't know the teacher was infected, Karen wanted to make them see the truth. Karen asked Ms. Lee to roll up her sleeves to show she was infected. The other students asked why Karen was questioning Ms. Lee. Ms. Lee told them it was fine and rolled up her sleeves, smiling. "Are you happy now?" she asked. The students were shocked, whispering, "Whoa, what's that?" and "Yikes." Karen said, "As you can see, Ms. Lee is infected. If you look at that bite mark," a student cut her off. "What are you talking about, Karen? That's a graze mark from a wall, not a bite mark." Another student said to Ms. Lee, "That must have hurt. What happened to you?" Ms. Lee replied, "Oh, I got nicked by some debris in the hallway while helping other students." Karen was shocked. She thought, "Is Ms. Lee so scared of being found out that she scraped over the bite mark with a rock?" Ms. Lee walked closer to Karen, put her hand on Karen's shoulder, and said, "I understand why you're suspicious of me. I know you never liked me and want to get rid of me." She leaned in and whispered, "But don't you think it's better to have an adult around in a situation like this?" She then warned Karen, "So don't stick your nose where it doesn't belong," brushing Karen's arm as she spoke. Se-eun noticed and asked, "Karen, are you okay? You look pale." Karen replied, "I'm fine." She touched her shoulder and thought it would be bad to act rashly in this situation. Karen remembered what happened when she acted harshly before. She had killed one of the male lead's classmates, and everyone hated her for it. She thought, "If I could see everyone's faces normally, I'm not sure if I could tell who's a zombie or not. I made a mistake. I only thought about the students and forgot about the teachers. If this keeps going, it's easy to see how the story ends." Karen noticed a hammer on the desk and thought, "Maybe I should start over and make a new plan. There's still time." She remembered Cherim's words. Think about what happened yesterday. She thought about asking others about it but decided now wasn't the time. Her thoughts were interrupted by Mihui, who asked, "Karen, are you okay? I'm worried about you." Mihui smiled and said, "I'm on your side no matter what happens." Karen turned to Ms. Lee. "There are still some things I'm worried about." Ms. Lee replied, "You're still worried, Karen?" A student supporting Ms. Lee said, "She already explained her injury." Karen cut her off. I'm not sure about that. If you had a big fall, why didn't you get hurt anywhere else? Karen thought, this is a gamble. If I can't see someone, I'll use that to my advantage. She decided to use Sonwoo Ha to her advantage. Sonwoo was naturally cautious and suspicious. In the book, Sonwoo didn't agree with bullying Karen and helped her, creating a connection between Karen and Minwoo. Now, Sonwoo hadn't fully trusted Karen's explanation, so she sided with Ms. Lee. A student said, "Come on, Karen." Ms. Lee already explained. She fell and got a graze. Why do you have to be so shameless? Karen smirked and said, "You're right, I'm shameless and suspicious. So let's tie her up. Tying her up should solve the problem, right? I'll make my move." "Let's tie up Ms. Lee," Karen said seriously, her eyes cold as she looked at the class. The room went quiet before someone spoke up. "Come on, Karen, that's too much." Karen didn't back down. "How else will we know if she's infected or not? We've all been together since the virus spread, so we know none of us are infected." "But Ms. Lee? We don't know anything about her. Don't you think we need to tie her up and watch her? If she starts to change, we'll have no choice but to smash her skull with a hammer, stab her, or even..." Before she could finish, Ms. Lee slapped her hard across the face. The force sent Karen to the ground. Everyone gasped, shocked by what just happened. Mihui quickly rushed to Karen and helped her up. "Are you okay?" she asked. Ms. Lee stood over Karen, her voice full of anger. "Seriously, I can't stand listening to you anymore. Do you think I'm a joke? How dare you disrespect me like this? You think you can act like such a brat to an adult?" Karen smirked. There it is, she thought. Her real self is showing now. But then Ms. Lee seemed to realize her mistake. Her face softened, and she turned to the class, pretending to look hurt. "Please, Karen, stop. What you said really hurt me. Why would you say something so cruel?" Two students stepped in to defend her. "Just forget it, Ms. Lee. Karen is always like this. Everyone knows it." Still sitting on the floor, Karen thought to herself, "I said those things to provoke her on purpose." Ms. Lee always tries to act nice and friendly to the students. For her to snap like this, it's not normal. Now, I can use this moment to turn the class against her. Yeri Pian, who was still a shadow, pointed at Karen. "Apologize to Ms. Lee. You were so rude. She's still our teacher. How could you say that to her?" Karen stayed calm. "Was anything I said wrong?" she asked. Yeri frowned. "I don't know, but Ms. Lee's crying. Just say sorry." Karen glanced around the room. Her classmates who weren't shadows anymore were all looking at their phones, ignoring the situation. Mihui stood up for her. Why should Karen apologize? She didn't say anything wrong. Karen sighed. Without much support, I have no choice, she thought. "I'm sorry," she said flatly. Mihui looked at her in shock. "Karen, are you serious?" Yeri smirked. "It's about time." What a brat. Ms. Lee walked up to Karen, patting Karen's head. "Thank you for looking after the class, Karen. But now, you should leave things to an adult. Go take a break." Karen's eyes were dull. "I'm tired and hurt. Damn," she thought. She looked at her classmates, who were no longer shadows, and felt bitterness rise in her chest. "I worked so hard to save all of you. And now, you just sit there with your phones while only Mihui stands by me? This is reality. It's time to give up. This life is a mess. You idiots, I carried you all on my back. Making friends was pointless. What a fool I was. None of this would be happening if I knew who the unknown extra was. If I could figure it out, I could go back and try again. But I don't remember enough to do that." Ms. Lee spoke to the class. "Do we have any food stored here?" Hannah Du shook her head. "No, we were planning to move to the shop." "All of us?" Ms. Lee asked. "Probably," Hannah replied. Ms. Lee paused. "Is that really necessary? If fewer people go, it'll be easier. In my opinion, Mihui, Cherim, and Karen should go." Mihui and Cherim are fast, and Karen is smart. It makes sense for the three of you to go. Karen narrowed her eyes. What is she talking about? If we're talking about smart, Jinsei and Yom is way smarter than me. But for the rest of them, sending us three to do the hard work probably sounds like a good idea. She looked at Ms. Lee closely. The infection was spreading through her body. If Ms. Lee becomes fully infected, how long will it take before she attacks us? Even if I stop her, will anyone believe me when I say she was a zombie? If someone from the group doesn't get hurt, I'll just look like a murderer. Karen clenched her fists. I can't leave now, not when she's so close to turning. She glanced at her classmates again, frustration bubbling inside her. Stop staring at your phones and help me. Suddenly, Jaehyun Young raised her hand. I'll go with them, she said. Karen blinked in surprise. Why all of a sudden? Hannah Do, still staring at her phone, grinned slightly. Somewhere in the school, Rina Song was fighting off zombies. She quickly finished off killing all the zombies. She frowned as she scanned the area. It's not here. Where the heck is it? Back in the classroom, Jaehyun Young told Miss Lee that she will go instead of Karen, because Karen has been doing everything this whole time, so she must be tired. Karen was in disbelief with how Jaehyun is helping her. Ms. Lee also looked surprised by what Jaehyun said. It seemed like she didn't want to agree at first, but eventually, she nodded and said, all right, Karen can rest for a bit. Jaehyun opened the door, which was near Karen. As she stepped outside, she asked, this is how I do it, right? Hannah Do nodded in agreement. Hannah Do was well known in their school. She wasn't properly paying attention to Karen that lunchtime, as she can fact-check everything Karen said with her connections. As she opened her phone to look at a group chat she was in, where unusual messages were being sent since morning. The messages said that there was a weird woman on a bus, that many people were coughing that morning, that someone started dancing strangely, that a lot of students were seen at the nurse's office. The last message came from someone scared, asking for help. And that leaves unanswered question on her head. So, when Hannah Do heard the broadcast and Karen's explanation, her questions were finally answered. When she heard that the infection started on the bus, she asked other members of the group chat if they knew anyone who rode the bus this morning. A student confirmed that one of their classmates had been on that bus. Hannah warned them to keep an eye on that person since that was where the infection started, and she told them to pass the information to others. 10 minutes later, Hannah received a message. Someone told her that a zombie had appeared in their class, and they even sent her a picture. This confirmed that Karen's claim about the bus was true. This made Hannah Do more open to trusting Karen. Now it's not just Karen that is skeptical of Miss Lee. If she really was worried for them, then why did she only came to them just now when the class 1 is just near their class? So, to know the truth, Hannah Do asked in a group chat if anyone have seen Miss Lee. Someone from the next class replied to her that they have seen Miss Lee. Hannah Do asked them if anything happened. The schoolmate replied that they don't know if something happened, as they have been hiding under a lectern when they heard multiple screaming coming from class 1. Then, they saw Miss Lee passed by. That person then heard Miss Lee saying I wasn't bitten. And they also heard strange splattering sounds near where Miss Lee was. Scared, the person took out their phone and took a video of her. Then the student who was in the other class asked if Hannah Do were alone. Remembering the rules about only helping people from their class, Hannah Do lied and said she was alone. Hannah Do was known for being cold-hearted. Normally, she would take charge in situations like this because she was smart and had good judgment. But this time, Hannah chose to help Karen instead. She supported her by sending the video of Ms. Lee to their group chat. The video revealed that Ms. Lee had been lying. Most of the class saw it. After watching the video, Jaehyun opened up to Karen. As Jaehyun Young opens the door to leave, Se-eun stops her. Se-eun then confronted Miss Lee, asking how she had managed to leave Class 1, which was where she had been teaching earlier. Karen, unaware of all this happening, thought to herself in confusion, what is going on right now?